El Mencho
has been taken down.
Violence has erupted across Mexico following the killing of the country's most wanted drug leader known as El Mencho in a military operation on Sunday. You can see smoke billowing into the sky there in this resort town on Mexico's Pacific coast. A witness says fires are ongoing and smell like burning rubber. Officials say suspected members of organized crime groups unleashed the wave of violence after the death of El Mencho. He was a former police officer who was one of the world's most wanted traffickers. He led the powerful Jalisco New Generation Cartel, or the CJNG.
JEJE Vibe.
It's JEJE Vibe.
Can you feel the vibe?
I'm feeling it.
Ladies and gentlemen, you're welcome to JEJE Vibe.
We're back.
You know I got my amazing queen with me.
Thanks, my love.
So Lewis and Gabriel, if you're new to the channel, don't forget to hit the like and subscribe. Where else would you rather be? Also hype the video while you're at it. And also hit the notification button. Let's get on to this amazing episode.
El Mencho
has been taken down.
Nemesio Oseguera Cervantes, known as El Mencho, was the head of the Jalisco New Generation Cartel, one of the most powerful drug organizations on the planet.
El Mencho
has been taken down.
And there's been chaos in Mexico.
Chaotic.
And this is the situation on the ground in Mexico following the shooting death of cartel leader El Mencho.
Before sunrise on February 22nd, 2026, Mexican special forces sealed off a mountain zone in Jalisco and moved in with the precision of a battlefield unit rather than a police patrol. Gunfire erupted the moment they closed the distance, and heavy weapons answered from inside the compound as helicopters circled overhead and tightened the ring. The exchange was short but violent, leaving several cartel gunmen dead and their commander, El Mencho, gravely wounded before he was lifted into the air under military guard. He did not survive the flight, and within hours, highways burned, airports shut down, and entire cities fell silent as armed cells reacted across the country.
This is crazy chaos. Because now the head has been cut off and everywhere is just going
Fire, smoke, and chaos across several Mexican states. Cities brought to a standstill as criminal groups retaliate after Mexico's most wanted drug leader died following a military operation Sunday. Blocked highways, drivers forced out of their cars at gunpoint, trucks and buses set on fire. Nemesio Oseguera Cervantes, a former police officer known to most as El Mencho, was the leader of the Jalisco New Generation Cartel, wounded during a Mexican military operation and later died while being transported to Mexico City. The U.S. played a role in Sunday's operation, according to U.S. defense officials, though it's unclear to what extent.
Everywhere is disorientated now. There's no control.
There have been riots, there have been burning of buses, so many disruption.
As fear spread, many Mexicans spoke out calling for an end to the violence.
People are aware of this violence, and what they want is peace, to live in harmony and justice, not in war.
Blockades were reported across various states, and classes were suspended in at least 3 states as officials tried to contain the violence and keep civilians off the streets.
I'm tired of seeing this continue every single day.
Under El Mencho's command, the cartel expanded rapidly, challenging rivals like the Sinaloa cartel for control of territory and trafficking routes. According to U.S. and Mexican officials, El Mencho managed to avoid capture for years. His detention and death is one of the most significant blows to organized crime in recent years, and the first high-profile operation under President Claudia Sheinbaum.
The most feared cartel in Mexico.
And some people are projecting that this might cause more chaos now because within the cartel now, because they might be fighting for who's going to take over the cartel.
Crazy.
There's a variety of phases that they go through. There's always, when a big player is killed or captured, a show of strength. And that's actually to sort of tell the authorities, don't carry on any more raids. That moves then into another phase, which is often where the cartel finds itself under pressure from other cartels, and they may well be fighting amongst themselves or with those other cartels. And then it can move on to them saying, well, actually, no, we're going to attack the government. And that is a calculation that the president of Mexico has had to make for herself, because it is very possible that they could organize themselves to attack. And they've already got the Sinaloa cartel that they're battling with, and these are the two big ones. So they would have two fronts. She's obviously made a decision that this is the right thing to do, probably because of President Trump.
So many moving parts. Who's going to be the next in line? Who's going to be the next in line? Who's going to take over this territory? Who's going to take over? This is going to be
because it's a network operation.
Crazy time. And these people are not playing.
Been driving for about 3.5 hours now south of Guadalajara, and we finally reached the exact spot where we think El Mencho, one of the world's biggest drug traffickers, was killed on Sunday morning. He was apparently holed up over there in a luxury bungalow in a country club. So it looks like a sort of football player's mansion. Two stories, very modern, very expensive, surrounded by cactuses and pine trees. The military arrived in helicopters and in trucks. He took flight across these fields and through these compounds just ahead of us here. And locals say he was killed, or at least shot, somewhere along here. The gunfight was apparently so ferocious that even now you can see a forest fire consuming the side of the mountain over there. 5 kilometers or so from the place where El Mencho was killed, we spotted a group of soldiers just up there, very heavily armed, lurking on the side of the road, and then some police special forces. And they've told us they've come here to provide security for a small group of road builders who are trying to fill in a giant trench that the drug traffickers dug out of the road on Sunday as the operation unfolded.
True. It's not looking good in Mexico.
2 metros. 2 por 1, más o menos. Wow, so he's saying it was a 2-meter deep trench that they'd carved out of the road, about a meter wide, 2 meters deep, to stop any kind of troops coming in, armored vehicles, to rescue their big boss. About 7 o'clock that day, an order seems to have gone out to cause chaos, to set up roadblocks, pull trees down onto the road, carve huge trenches out, and to set fire to buildings and cars, like this supermarket, which was obviously set on fire, and you can see inside it is completely burnt out. They've smashed the windows, there's glass still all over the floor. This big supermarket has just been absolutely torched. And I guess their idea was just to stop any reinforcements coming in with the security forces, to make sure that no one else could get in, and to try and help their boss get away, but obviously it didn't work. And it's still burning, look, still fumes coming off it 4 days later.
The tourists have been advised to take shelter.
Because some of them are stuck in Mexico now due to the chaos.
Chaotic.
El Mencho was tracked to Jalisco, where Mexican special forces came under fire during this raid. Now, officials say he was shot and died while being flown to Mexico City. The Jalisco New Generation Cartel, which the Trump administration has designated a foreign terrorist organization, is considered by the DEA to be just as powerful as the Sinaloa cartel. And within hours of his death, that power was on full display as cartel members caused chaos across the region.
Fear, I guess. The first thing was like you see smoke rising far away. You don't know what's happening, and like, no, I'm not venturing out anywhere. But we did eventually get a message from the State Department saying to shelter in place.
Eyewitness News producer from our sister station in the Bay Area, Juan Carlos Guerrero, is just one of several Americans stranded in Mexico after a day of civil unrest. Early Sunday, Mexican special forces killed El Mencho, the leader of the Jalisco New Generation Cartel, a man the U.S. had offered $15 million to capture. The CJNG is considered one of the most powerful and aggressive cartels in Mexico, a major trafficker of fentanyl, cocaine, and meth into the U.S., with a presence in all 50 states, according to the DEA. Within hours of his death, cartel members retaliated, setting vehicles on fire and blocking highways across multiple states. That's why even getting to the airport now feels risky.
Getting there and the hour drive to the airport is the concerning part. We don't know what we may find along the way.
Mexican authorities say the U.S. provided complimentary information for the operation, and a U.S. defense official confirms to ABC News American intelligence helped Mexican forces carry out the raid. The U.S. State Department warned Americans in Jalisco, Tamaulipas, Michoacán, Guerrero, and Nuevo León to stay in safe places.
This is like solving a problem and then creating more problems. Like when you're trying to solve a problem, because I guess the intention was to capture him, and he died during the exchange of pew 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 pew.
How exactly was the world's richest drug lord finally captured? Well, it actually took both US and Mexican intelligence working together, and their strategy was the exact same tactic they used to find Bin Laden. The trick is follow the courier and you get the prize. They tracked down his associate and kept tabs on one of his many girlfriends. Because yes, this 59-year-old guy somehow had a love interest. Maybe because he is richer than the Sinaloa drug lords with $20 billion at his disposal. For the longest time, the guy was a total ghost. He stayed entirely off the US radar by intentionally keeping his operations away from American citizens. So how did it all finally end? It happened at a cabin. And even when he was completely surrounded by military helicopters, he was still protected by his own heavily armed henchmen, rocking RPGs and armored vehicles. And all hell broke loose when the Mexican Special Forces started attacking with guns blazing. The operation that brought down Mexico's most wanted man didn't happen in a bustling city. It happened in a fortress. The primary firefight, the exact moment the Mexican armed forces went head-to-head with heavily armed CJNG operatives, fatally wounded many of the drug lord's members.
Pew 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 pew. During that exchange, that was when he died.
But how did the Mexican and US intel caught him? Why do you follow the girlfriend? Yes, literally follow the girlfriend. Intel identified a trusted cartel associate with a very specific job, moving one of El Mencho's love interest. They placed this courier under strict, round-the-clock surveillance, waiting for him to make a move. And eventually he did. Agents tracked the associate as he escorted the girlfriend to a secret rendezvous point. The trail led them exactly where El Mencho felt safest. The heavily guarded, secluded cabin compound in Tapalpa, a picturesque mountain resort town about 80 miles outside of Guadalajara. On Saturday, February 21st, 2026, the girlfriend arrived at the compound. Mexican military commanders had eyes on the target, but they didn't rush in. They played the waiting game. They held their positions, watching silently until she safely departed the property later that day. Her departure confirmed what they needed to know. El Mencho and his heavily armed security detail were still inside. To pull this off, the military had to maintain absolute secrecy. In the early, pitch-black hours of Sunday, February 22nd, the trap was sprung. The moment they breached the perimeter, all hell broke loose. The CJNG didn't just have standard rifles. The compound was a fortress defended by armored vehicles and military-grade rocket launchers specifically designed to blast military helicopters out of the sky. When the Mexican Army Special Forces breached the perimeter, a fierce, sustained firefight erupted. The air was instantly thick with the deafening roar of 50 caliber machine guns and the shattering blasts of rocket-propelled grenades. 4 cartel members forming the inner security ring were killed instantly in the courtyard. 3 Mexican Special Forces soldiers were severely wounded as they pushed through the barrage. As his defenses collapsed, the 59-year-old kingpin attempted to retreat. But where was he during the raid? Tactical reports place El Mencho in the west wing of the safe house, a fortified section of the compound likely intended to shield him or provide access to an escape route while his guards held off the assault. But the military's push was too fast and too overwhelming.
So now, there's nobody who's in control.
Yep.
So there's going to be chaos in the meantime in Mexico.
And the president came out to give our own speech on it too.
Buenos días. Nuestro pésame a las familias de elementos que el día de ayer perdieron la vida y nuestro mayor reconocimiento. El pueblo de México debe sentirse muy orgulloso de nuestras Fuerzas Armadas y del gabinete de seguridad que tenemos.
Prayers out to Mexico.
Meanwhile, this was the scene on the ground. Roads blocked with cars on fire, smoke rising over cities, including Guadalajara and Puerto Vallarta. Schools were canceled in several states and businesses shut their doors.
I'm concerned about how it's affecting the shop owners and all the people. You know, it's very scary.
Riverside native Diane Quazum also finding herself in the crosshairs of this drug operation. Her friend and Mexico resident Sharon Murphy saying they've been hunkering down since breakfast Sunday morning.
Right when we finished, the waiter came up and said, you need to go home and get into your house and close your door.
Mexican President Claudia Sheinbaum is now urging calm, saying security forces are working to restore order after the fall of one of the country's most powerful cartel leaders. Jalisco's capital, Guadalajara, is also set to host matches during this summer's World Cup, making security a major concern as the city prepares for a global spotlight.
Prayers out to everybody that is going through what they're going through right now. Stay safe. Stay away from trouble.
Yeah, and the tourists.
Stay in shelter.
Till the coast is clear.
Till the coast is clear for you to come back home. Stay in shelter, protect yourself. Don't go playing around now.
Some people might get kidnapped.
Don't go playing around now.
The fall of El Mencho may mark a major security milestone, but with tourism, foreign investment, and security for the 2026 World Cup at stake, the world is watching how Mexico handles what comes next.
If you're new to the channel, don't forget to hit the like and subscribe. Where else would you rather be?
We're out of here now.
See you guys in the next one.
It's JEJE Vibe.
It's a vibe.